Well, hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from Maniyusab at Adesawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Okansi. Tonight, let's get into the issues right now as monitoring the appointments and matters arising from the presidency here on Ghana Tonight. And Parliament approves 6 ministers designate. And with 42 out of the 60 so far named, we will see exactly how the coming days will look like. Also, coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, the Appointments Committee had to take an express decision to postpone the vetting of 2 ministerial nominees to tomorrow because of the delay in Parliament approving the 6 ministers earlier today. And that also got some reactions. We'll stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Also, we're learning of some youth in Bole and Bole who are not too happy and pleased with the president's ministerial nominations so far. We understand some of them have vandalized party property and some items within those regions. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. We will give you some updates on this matter and how things are unfolding here on Ghana Tonight. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Settle for Ghana Briefs. Remind you as well, so many ways you can connect to us, and we'll definitely get you out to the rest of the world, the comments that you put out there. And if there's some appointments as well, which has just come through for some state agencies. So stay with us. We'll tell you about it. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
Parliament has approved 6 ministerial nominees of President John Dramani Mahama. The Appointments Committee unanimously recommended the confirmation of Dr. Cassiel Atoforsing as Minister of Finance, John Jinapor as Minister of Energy, Dr. Dominic Ayine as Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Haruna Idrisu as Minister for Education, Kwame Gavin-Saboja as Minister of Roads and Highways, and Eric Opoku as Minister of Agriculture. The ministers are expected to be sworn in earnest. The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana has urged the Minister of Food and Agriculture nominee, Eric Opoku, to develop clear timelines for implementing the government's campaign promises for the sector immediately after assuming office. Executive Director Bismarck Tete Owusu-Norte has also admonished him to engage stakeholders within the sector.
We know that the NDC also came with their own manifesto and their own promises, and they want to abide by that because that's the social contract they have with the people of Ghana. So for us, we are expecting that the minister, the nominee, will do that, but in the spirit of inclusivity, in the spirit of togetherness, in the spirit of and coming from the fact that he has a strong agricultural background, as is a farmer himself, and so the president is excellency. We are very hopeful that together we will be able to come together and move the sector forward.
Sports analysts and pundits have high expectations of the Minister-designate for Sports and Recreation, Kofi Adams, to turn around the rebranded ministry. They believe there's a lot of work to be done and the Minister-designate must brace himself to deal squarely with the issues in the sector.
What he promised in his campaign about, fixing the college for sports. Where Ghana sports is at the moment at its all-time low. There isn't any, nobody should lie to anybody, there isn't any quick fix to it. It needs an open heart surgery, it needs grand scheme of work.
The new minister will have to have a balance between growing the least funded sports and also empowering the comparative areas where we have a comparative advantage in boxing and football. I think that it will be a major task for the minister, because this is the point where all the other sports are at a point where nobody wants to associate with in terms of performance and also in terms of the spectatoring.
The juvenile court in the area has sentenced a 15-year-old boy found guilty of conspiring with another teenager to murder a 10-year-old boy in Kaswa for money rituals to 12 months in prison. He will serve his sentence at the Senior Correctional Center. Before receiving the sentence, the emotional convict pleaded with the court for forgiveness. Family of the victim spoke to the media.
Sa constitution no my na so almost go back no mo ko hwemu yi if say say nipa kum obi timi di 15 years no wetima di awu a SSO penalty na ye say yaman 4 years yaman 3 years sa indian conversa timi akwachi a o mo san ko no mo ko hwemu mai so mo ye bibi amfa nkura ye say sa obi timi di boni ye say so timi ko life kura say na be ya busuan no so ye de akoma beto mo yam.
7 out of 9 miners who were shot dead for illegally invading the concession of mining firm AngloGold Ashanti, AGA, have been buried. The bodies were released to the families on Tuesday, January 21, after an autopsy was conducted. The 7, all Muslims, were buried according to Islamic rites amidst heightened tension in the area. The miners were shot by the military when they attempted accessing a restricted site to mine unlawfully. 1 out of the 4 injured receiving treatment at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital is still battling for his life as a bullet is said to have pierced through a critical part of his body.
It's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, we're monitoring the happenings at the Appointments Committee of Parliament earlier today. And even though some 2 nominees were scheduled to be vetted today, they had to postpone the vetting. And we'll tell you exactly what happened today here on Ghana Tonight. And in fact, that also generated some concern amongst the persons who had come to accompany these members, or that's the minister nominees or designates who were scheduled to be vetted today. But let me just show you this. This is exactly what happened at the Appointments Committee just about some 3 hours ago. The Appointments Committee of Parliament was expected to vet some ministers designates, a number of them, 3 of them today. They failed to proceed with the vetting. From the understanding that we got earlier today, was only 1 person, the Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, who was vetted by the Appointments Committee of Parliament earlier today, the Banda MP. Until his appointment, he was a deputy majority whip for the majority NDC caucus in this 9th Parliament. He was vetted earlier today, but there were 2 other persons who were scheduled to be vetted today. Well, based on the length of the parliamentary sitting at the plenary to approve the 6 ministerial nominees, that process ended around 7 p.m. So when the Appointments Committee resumed, they had to take a decision that they cannot vet these 2 persons who were scheduled to be vetted today. That's the minister designate for the Gender, Children and Social Protection, and then also the Trade Industry Minister designate. These 2 were expected to be vetted today, but that did not happen. Well, this is exactly what transpired just about 3 hours ago in Parliament. So earlier today, we had Ahmed Ibrahim, who was approved, in fact, vetted earlier today. And then, as was expected, after him, there was also expected to have the Minister for Gender, Children, Social Protection, and then also the Trade Industry Minister designate appear before the Appointments Committee. That did not happen because Parliament took quite a while in approving the 6 ministers earlier today. Now, that's what happened in Parliament today. Now, I want you to just take a listen to what happened.
It's almost 8 p.m. and we have our fathers and our mothers, and we have 2 nominees. We have to consider all of them if we are going to consider anyone. So when you add the time needed average to be able to vet properly the 2 nominees, we might end up spending between 6 and 8 hours. So if you add 6 and 8 hours to 7:30, 8 p.m., it means that we're going to keep our fathers, our mothers, and their families here till 2 a.m. We are hoping that tomorrow we can consider them, be able to write a report on them, lay the report in the House, and God willing, I believe that the House will approve them.
So upon that appeal by the Honorable Mama Yarga, the Boko Central Member of Parliament, and by the way, you questioned as to why he was the one who made this particular statement of appeal to the chiefs and other members who had accompanied some of the ministers designated who were expected to be vetted today. It is incontrovertible evidence to the effect that all things being equal, he will be the majority leader for the NDC caucus in this 9th Parliament. In the coming days, we expect the NDC as a political party and the caucus as well in Parliament to have that official announcement made. And it's a conversation we're going to be having here on Ghana Tonight. But earlier today, this is what happened in Parliament. The plenary approved the nominations of Dr. Cassil Atoforsen, the Minister for Finance, and now approved by Parliament. And then also the Honorable John Abdullahi Jinapor, the Minister for Energy, as approved by Parliament earlier today as well. And then we have Dominic Akuritinga Ayine, who's the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, as approved by Parliament earlier today as well. Now, they were scheduled to be sworn in at the presidency. That did not happen. We understand that will happen tomorrow, all things being equal. They're not alone, who were approved by Parliament today. Kwame Gavin Sagboja Dadaklo, Member of Parliament. Until today, he was the majority chief whip of the NDC caucus in this 9th Parliament. He is effectively approved as Minister for Roads and Highways. And then also the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, Minister for Education, Tamale South Member of Parliament. And also the Honorable Eric Opoku, Minister for Food and Agriculture. These 6 persons were approved by Parliament earlier today. Now, here's what the conversation has been over the period. This 6 is out of 42 people who have been nominated for various positions by President John Dramani Mahama. You know that he is still sticking by that political promise of having the leanest government in the size of ministers since the Fourth Republic. Over the period, or in the Fourth Republic, over the period, there's been debate as to whether that can be done. Well, guess what? As we are seeing right now, he's sticking to that promise of having 60 ministers, 42 appointed or announced so far, and a number of them awaiting vetting and eventually being approved by Parliament. Here's how the structure looks like from what we are seeing. Out of the 60, 42, and out of the 42 that have been announced and some of them approved by Parliament, 7 of them are women, 35 men. Now, that brings up a conversation as well about the gender breakdown. If you do the analysis in terms of percentage breakdown, out of the 42 now and the 7 women we have, that's about 16.6%. They're about almost 17%. And then you have 83% men, as announced by President John Dramani Mahama. you do know that based on the affirmative action law that we have in place now, there should be a minimum of at least 30. So if you see what is happening now based on the conversation as to how many women are going to be appointed eventually, John Mahama has 18 so far left. So if you take the 42 out of the 60, there are 18 ministerial positions left to be filled. And these mostly are going to be deputy ministers, because for the various ministerial positions, you have the ministers that have been appointed and announced, the ministers of state, a number of them, 3 of them have been announced today as well. The regional ministers, all 16 regional ministers have been announced as of today. So all those positions effectively filled. So you can see, all things being equal, you're going to be having all 18 that are left having some deputy ministers in there. We wait to see how many women are going to be announced. And this is a matter that came up in Parliament. Alexander Penyumakin, the minority leader, the Futu MP, raised this matter in Parliament earlier today. Take a listen.
There are a lot of women on his side. We've had over 30 women being elected to Parliament from the NDC majority side. In view of the affirmative action posture of the country, we have passed the affirmative action law, and of all these hard-working women, only a few of them have so far been given substantive ministerial appointments. Is it the case that they are matching them for deputy ministerial appointments? That is not right. Our women cannot be second-class appointees. Mr. President must demonstrate his belief in the capacity, the capability, and the competences of our women. And he must demonstrate that.
When it comes to gender, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is the best that you can craft for. Because when he was starting, he started with a woman as his vice president. And the woman is there to fight for women and hold the door for women to pass through.
Well, that's Comfort Doyo Kujo, is a member of Parliament. In fact, the second deputy majority whip of this Parliament, responding directly to Alexander Penyumakin on the matter of women and their representation in the appointments as announced by President John Mahama so far. As we see it, all regional ministers have been announced, 16 of them so far. And then, in fact, that's what we're going to be seeing. Effectively, we understand that there's not going to be any deputy regional ministers. So all these 16 regional ministers, from what we are hearing, all things being equal, will not have deputy ministers, deputy regional ministers. And then also for the various ministries, some ministries will not have deputies, as the way things are right now, because we have 23 ministries that were announced by President John Mahama. That is what he's going to work with. Now, if you have all 23 having at least one deputy, that's going to be 46. If you add that to the 16 regional ministers, that's already 62. Plus these ministers of state who have been announced today as well, that's 65. So if he's going to be able to stick to and fulfill that 60 ministers promise, a number of the ministries, at least 5 ministries in here, would not have deputies based on the announcement that we got today. And the announcement today as well came with some ministers of state designated for a number of specific ministries, including what you're hearing now with the one that pertains to matters of climate change, as well as one that would effectively be coordinating the information flow between the presidency and the public. When the 23 ministers were announced, the information ministry was not there. So there was a conversation as to how the information flow is going to be managed by government. Well, guess what? Phyllis Kwatio-Fosu is going to be Minister of State, effectively coordinating the communication between the presidency and the public. And as to whether that is going to have other functions that would flow into what the previous information ministry was doing, is one that as well will get some detail going forward. So the Ebura Segbu Kwamankese Member of Parliament is one of the ministers of state as announced today. Here are the number of ministers left to be appointed, 18 of them. These are the women that we're talking about. 7 of them that have been announced by President John Dramani Mahama for various positions. Ablaji Fagomashi, Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts designate. Dr. Agnes Namomolate was one of 2 women who were expected to be vetted today. Well, that didn't happen. Tomorrow she's going to be vetted. Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection designate. Emilia Arthur, Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture designate. And the last 4, in no particular order: Charity Gardner, Ahafo Regional Minister designate; Linda Oklu, Greater Accra Regional Minister designate; and MP for Shire Sudoku, Elizabeth Ofosu-Jare, Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry designate; Rita Akosia Ejeyi Awate, Eastern Regional Minister designate. So these are the 7 women out of the 42 so far announced. But there's another conversation that's coming up as well, the regional breakdown, because we've been monitoring some news in some part of the Volta region, and then also in the hometown of the president, John Mahama, that's the Bole Bamboy area. Some young people who are not too happy that their members of parliament have not been announced as the ministers designate so far, took the law into their own hands, vandalizing some property belonging to the party as well. We'll get some further detail on this. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. What you're seeing right now on the screen is what happened according to the reports we monitored in the Bole area. This is earlier today at the John Mahama's home, President John Dramani Mahama's home, and we'll get some more details on exactly what led to this and why these car tires were being burned by these young people, what they are asking for and demanding. We'll get into that shortly here on Ghana Tonight. But I want you to take a look at this. Now, if you talk about the regional breakdown, we've been looking at how things are playing out. For instance, for the Ahafo region, there are so far 2 appointments or persons that have been appointed from the Ahafo region. Eric Opoku, the Greek minister, who was approved today by Parliament, and then the regional minister designate Charity Gardner. For the Ashanti region, we see the Honorable Mohamed Muntaka Mubarak earlier today. He was announced as well as the Interior Minister designate, and Gilbert Ajay also announced earlier. And then you have the regional minister designate as well, Mwakohene. So there are 3 of them in there, Dr. Mwakohene. Then Ahmed Ibrahim for the Bono region, confirmed, and in fact, he was vetted today for the ministry in charge of chieftaincy, religious affairs as well. Joseph Adai Akwabua, also from the Bono region, the Bono regional minister, who was also announced earlier today by that statement from the presidency. For the Bono East region, there are 3 persons that we've seen also announced from there. Elizabeth Ofosu-Jare, the Bono East Regional Minister, that's the Trade Industry Minister designate, Emmanuel Jekum, and then also Francis Owosu Entry, who is the Regional Minister designate. For the Central Region, Dr. Kesla Toforsin, the Finance Minister, as confirmed and approved by Parliament today, and Phyllis Kwatio-Fosu, and also the Minister in charge of the Central Region designate, Edua Mauchere, as well. For the Eastern region, Edward Domanebuama, also earlier today announced as Defense Minister designate. Giorgio Pariado, the Minister in charge of Youth Development designate, and that's the National Youth Organizer of the NDC. That position effectively becomes vacant. Rita Akosia Ejeyi Awate, Regional Minister designate. And if we come to the Greater Accra region, Samuel Nate George, MP for Ningo Pram Pram, the minister designated for the communications ministry. That was widely expected, no surprise at all. And Dr. Namomolate, Gender, Children and Social Protection Minister designate. Linda Oklo, Greater Accra Regional Minister designate for the Greater Accra Region 3. Northeast Region, 2 people also announced from them. Isifo Seidu, Ibrahim Tia, the Regional Minister designate. For the Northern Region, in fact, we're monitoring that has 4 persons announced from the Northern Region. So if you look at the regional breakdown of the 42 that have been announced out of the 60 so far, the Northern Region has the highest with 42. That's 4 persons announced from the Northern Region. The Honorable Haruna Idrisu, the Honorable Mutala Mohammed, and then John Nikpe, and also Ali Adolf John, who is the Regional Minister designate as well. So effectively, from what we are seeing right now, at least for the 42 out of the 60, the Northern Region is leading with the 4 nominees or minister designates from that particular region. And for the voter region, so far, from what we monitored, there are 3 names that came so far, haven't been announced from the voter region as ministers designate. 3 of them. So why exactly is some disturbances, we understand, happening in the voter region right now? I'm going to show you videos coming through from the voter region right now. And Faisal is going to be joining us right now. Faisal Idris, who is our voter regional correspondent, giving us details of exactly what led to these disturbances amongst the young people in this particular area in the voter region. And we're keeping an eye on this evolving development in the voter region right now here on Ghana Tonight. And Faisal Idris, who is our voter regional correspondent, is joining us right now. Faisal, this video we're seeing with some young people burning some items, and give us a bit more detail. Where exactly is this and what is happening?
Good evening. Elections are over, but we remain your election command center, and so we'll continue to monitor the happenings across. So indeed, this evening, the incident, very unfortunate one, happened in the host central constituency. Right after sundown, we learned of these young people who had gone to the party's constituency office. They broke into the office, brought out items including the office computer, furniture, documents, including some registered backups and some very sensitive documents belonging to the party that were in the party office, and set them ablaze right in front of the party office. They set car tires ablaze as well. When we got this information, by the time we got to the party office, these persons had already left the scene, and the whole place was in flames before we got there. Thankfully, the personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service came in quickly to quench the fire. The individuals, though the party has since told us, are people who are party members, they are unable to tell us the identity of these individuals. The few people we met at the party office when we got in also hinted us that those who actually set the place ablaze came en masse. So, the party office is just by the roadside. And so anything you are doing around there, passerbys will definitely see you. So people who were using the stretch at the time saw the individuals, but they claimed that they were masked, and so they are not able to tell us the identity of the individual. The party has since confirmed that yes, they are very much aware that the people who committed this crime tonight are party members, but they are not able to tell us the individuals because the investigations are just underway. But let me tell you this: this evening's incident had long become a conversation in the constituency since last week, when the announcement started trickling. And you hear some people in the constituency tell you that since 1992, the party has not made any single appointment from the constituency, even though the voter region largely has received appointment. Even now, 3 people, like you rightly mentioned, have been appointed by President John Dramani Mahama, but that is from Ketu South, North Tongue, and Adaku. And so for the whole central constituency, since 1992, they claim they have not had appointment to maybe a CEO position, MD, or a ministerial appointment. So this has already been a conversation in the constituency. People are getting agitated over it. And so this night, when the incident happened, it didn't come as a surprise. But the individuals behind it, the party say they do not know. The party's constituency, Deputy Constituency Secretary Theophilus Ajanku spoke to us earlier at the party office after the fire personnel from the National Fire Service put on the fire. Let's listen to what he said, and then we can proceed with the conversation after.
Actually, 2 of our computers have been damaged. All our office tables have been damaged. The chairs have been damaged. They have been burnt to ashes. And if you go, the doors have been broken down. The 2 doors to the office have been broken down.
Some documents also.
Our documents, our files has been burnt to ashes. No, the registers, we don't keep them in the office. They are with the branches. They keep the document. They keep registers. But the backup register, which is on our PC, that one has been damaged. So we are just disappointed about the happening. Even people's membership card that has arrived, that we are here to distribute to them, distribution is still ongoing, have also been damaged.
So, Faisal, it's some detail in there that's quite concerning, to say the least. So this is Ho Central specifically, correct?
That's Ho Central. Let me also correct this. From what I've picked so far, this does not in any way, is not really connected to the MP. I have spoken to a lot of them on the ground, and it appears that there's a general concern, sentiment, not necessarily the MP in Parliament currently, that from 1992 they haven't had an appointment, and so they are not really concerned about the fact that it's about, like, it's not something that they really want to connect to the MP. He's a new first timer in Parliament, and so they are not really concerned. But they are concerned that there are all kinds of persons in the constituency that are qualified to be appointed, yet they don't see that since 1992.
I see.
And that is a serious they have expressed.
So there's that conviction that these are aggrieved NDC youth who are not too happy that
yes.
they haven't had any appointments from the area. That's Ho Central.
Yes, sir.
But if you
Yes,
look at it from the voter region, as I earlier stated, in fact, if you add the regional minister designate, they have 4. There are four ministers designate from the voter region, and the same as the northern region. So it's just the northern and voter region that are leading, at least out of the 42 so far, with the highest number of nominations, because that's James Gunu, the minister designate for the voter region, Ablaji Fagomashi, and then you have also Sam Lakudia to Ablakwa, and then Gavin Kwame Agboja. These 4 are all from the voter region. So but is the party there also communicating this to them to know that the region itself is benefiting?
All right. For the NDC in the voter region, I think this appointment under the current regime is the highest they have gotten. You listen to the conversations across border, they tell you that they feel they have been served right this time around. Not only the ministerial appointment, Awuno Afeti, who is appointed to boss, Editi Tambaklo, among others. These are known other people. These are people who come from the vote region and have been given very key appointments in government. And so once the conversation started, the party region, throughout the region, tells you that they feel they have been served right this time around. And so it is now, the onus now lie on the individuals that have been appointed to bring home what they expect, that is in terms of development. But this issue tonight has to do with the whole central constituency, who are claiming that since 1992, all the appointments that came to the region, they have not had a taste of it. They tell you that key members in the party just even were telling us that they just ended elections. They gave John Dramani Mahama over 93% of votes. And that has been the case for them over the years. And so if any constituency should be receiving appointment, they think they should be served as well. And so the people involved in tonight's Islamist attack are people that the party know very well are their members, except that they will not disclose their identity yet because they claim that even though it's a general sentiment, it's an issue that people are discussing and people are aggrieved about, they do not know the individuals that took part in the attack tonight. And so the police also came in. Before I left the party office, the Ghana Police Service sent personnel, a couple of them who were there, and they have also told us that they are commencing investigations immediately in collaboration with the party executives who should be able to produce the individuals behind tonight's attack on the party office. Alfred.
detail there. Feza Idris is Volta regional correspondent. Feza, I know you're in the area, and so we'll definitely be coming back to you for some more detail. But this is not the only place that we've seen some aggrieved people who are linked to the NDC not too happy about appointments not being made from the area. Bole Bamboy, that's the president's constituency, is also experiencing the same situation in Ho Central. And our Northern and Savannah regional correspondent, Christopher Mwako, is connecting with us right now on the telephone. Chris, we saw this video from Bole Bamboy, some car tires being burnt. What exactly was it all about?
Yes, so Alfred, it has to do with the nomination of minister designate that the President John Dramani Mahama released earlier today. And I must say that, like you rightly mentioned, Bole is the home constituency of the president. And so the people there expected at least the member of parliament for Bole constituency, Yusuf Sulemana, or any native from Bole to be nominated or be part of this crop of ministers that the president has nominated. Unfortunately, there is none from Bole that is part. And so the people are saying that, look, the previous administration of John Dramani Mahama did not see someone from Bole getting any ministerial appointment. And that regime has not also considered someone for a ministerial position, even though the deputy ministers are yet to be announced or named. But they feel that getting a full ministerial slot will do them good. And so a few of the youth, cross-section of them, actually stormed the principal streets of Bole earlier today. They went to the house of the president's father, and a signboard was set ablaze. And so the youth also, we are told, marched to the NDC party office, but the intervention of the police stopped them from causing some damage to the party office. So, Alfred, quite pathetic that people will have to go this extent because of the nominations, but that actually happened in the Bole Bamboy constituency earlier today.
Very important detail there for us. But it appears quite clearly that even with this explanation, the party itself there, what have they said about this? Because Honorable Yusuf Sulemana has issued a statement, or he's been speaking, appealing to the young people that they should calm down. But beyond that, has there been any official attempt to address these matters that the young people raised?
Yes, so Alfred, let me first of all start from the member of parliament, because the moment the videos were released online, the member of parliament quickly issued a statement condemning the act and calming the youth down. I must say that we are yet to hear for an official statement from the Bole Bamboy constituency or the Savannah region NDC executive. But for the region, I can say that probably they are not making any comments on that, because as it stands, the Savannah regional minister designate is the current chairman of the secretary of the party in the region, secretary of the party, and so probably that may delay a statement from the party in the region. But the constituency executives, they have not issued any official statement, but behind the door, the curtains, I have communicated with some of them, and they have actually told me that it's unfortunate that the youth will take the matter into their own hands, because already they have the president, and they should appreciate the fact that they have the president.
Marco, appreciate you for this. Northern and Savannah regional correspondent, and also joining us right now for another conversation. Just further on this matter, Dr. Jonathan Asanchotre is a senior lecturer, political science department, University of Cape Coast. Dr. Jonathan Asanchotre, thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. If you can hear me. Hello, Doc, can you hear us?
Hello, Alfred.
Great, I can hear you. If you can tilt your screen down for me. You've seen these reactions in these places we've just spoken to our correspondents about. The Bole Bamboy, the home constituency of the president, and then also Ho Central. We understand there's been some communication from the party in Ho Central, but not the Bole area. What should be the reactions or the communication to address these issues that the youth raise?
Well, let me say good evening to your viewers and to your good self. A little point of correction, political analyst, not a political science lecturer for that matter.
Thank you.
Well, I think that things of that nature were to be expected along the line if the party machinery or the government itself did not anticipate skirmishes of that nature. Then I think that they've not thought of such experience rearing their ugly heads along the line. You see, I'm of the view that the government, now party in government, will have to set up a post-appointment management committee to manage the ambitions and aspirations of people who may have been disappointed along the line. Now, that in itself will tame the excesses in terms of people's demands here and there. Now, apart from that, they will have to understand that, look, it is not everybody that will get the opportunity to serve in government. But I'm quite surprised that the people of Bole or the youth, for that matter, will go on rampage, especially when you have the presidency in your fold. And they may let people think that they are being greedy, but that may not be the case. They might have been misinformed along the line. I think that they should rather be looking at situations where the majority of them, or quite a sizable number of them, will get jobs instead of just an identifiable person getting a ministerial position and you all be sponging on that particular person. When the economy expands and they are absorbed in terms of jobs, things of that nature will be a thing of the past. That's the more reason why politicians will have to create jobs along the line. That will create a situation where idle hands will not be meddling, or active hands will not be meddling in things of that nature. But you see, that being said, if you listen to what the minority leader said today, for me, it is quite unfortunate. I just scribbled a little, line here and there. I have said that for Mr. Afunimakins to, for example, stoke a tribal debate, because underneath things of that nature have tribal sentiments that are very sensitive. And you have to be very careful, the kind of record you set today, because it will come to harm you. Stoking a tribal debate in a sensitive issue, such as the distribution of ministerial portfolios, especially by a minority leader, as a way of scoring cheap political points that, that are not even backed by data, is not only reckless, but also a gross display of political immaturity. That is something that I feel, I'm of the view that, the minority leader is equally stoking fire in things of that nature. It seems not to have come to the comprehension of the loss or the mauling that they received in 2024 elections at the hands of the NDC. And so I am of the view that at this point in time, what the government or the party, the structure of the party will have to do is to ensure that in as much as they were able to set up conflict resolution, management and so on and so forth, that were able to settle, issues at places like, what is it called? Something Central, Memphis Central and all those places, for which resulted in a massive defeat of the NPP. Much the same way, they will have to put together things of a committee of that nature, which I refer to as appointment management committee, to manage, because the president himself said that he's received thousands of applications, thousands of CVs, when in actual fact, the slot that he has is just for 60. And so you will have to appreciate the fact that when you have received such overwhelming victory, remember on TV3 I said that the president is going to face a huge challenge, because once people vote for you massively, it means that they are very expectant of certain things. And you will have to be very careful, because that in itself will become a disadvantage for yourself and your government. So that's the more reason why that kind of management system will have to be set up. And you see, there are certain appointments that people are watching along the line, and they may have reasons to raise certain qualms about. And all these things could easily be dealt with when you have such a committee set up to deal with issues of that nature.
I see. And so this, then, you shift that burden of responsibility, to the party to address this swiftly, correct?
Certainly. Okay. The party gave birth to the government.
But then again, if you look at the 42 out of the 60 that have so far been named or announced for the various ministries, all 16 regions have some representation in there. Others have 2, others have 3, maximum being 4. In the Northern and Volta region, having 4 nominations so far out of the 42. But it's interesting to see that these 2 regions that have the highest so far, the 4-4, is where we are seeing these reactions as well, is it not?
So I think that somebody somewhere is misinformed. It could either be, those personalities that they are rooting for being behind something of that sort as a way of drawing the attention of the appointor to things of that nature. If that is the intention of these people, I think that they will fail miserably, because the president haven't had that second chance. He is more cautious of the kinds of people or personalities that he will want to appoint to various positions. He cannot fail Ghanaians. And so he will rather, as he said, leave a positive legacy that his name will be in the heart and minds of Ghanaians, than just to please a section that at the end of the day will not bring or will not inure to the benefit of not only the government, but it may lead to some kind of disaster that is not envisaged. And so if you look at, for example, the vetting processes, those that he nominated and have been vetted, you have a situation where the minority, the opposition themselves, are praiseworthy of these candidates. We are yet to meet any of them that does not have depth of knowledge in the area, the portfolio that, he has been sent to. And so I think that they will have to avert their minds to things of that nature, have an open mind to things of that nature, and stop that parochialism that they are displaying. It will not augur well for anybody. If somebody decided to go to parliament, it is not a guarantee that he should become a minister. That is a bonus, that is a plus. Besides, you do not know what others did behind the scenes, for which reason they have gotten all these kinds of appointments. But probably at another time, maybe there is a different subject I will want to talk about, maybe behind the scenes. That, for me, could also help the appointor along the line to straighten the rough edges. It's not everything that you can put in the public domain.
Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, I thank you very much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. A political analyst, senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Appreciate your thoughts on this. And on the matter of what is happening as well with relation to the appointments, as we're seeing it play out, Article 78 of the 1992 Constitution has not been amended as yet. So the president is bound to appoint majority of the 60 ministers from Parliament. And we're seeing it actually play out, because out of the 42, 24 of them are members of Parliament so far, the 42. Now, what that effectively means is that those who are clamoring for Article 78 to be amended or even removed so that the legislative arm of government can have the full strength to have that oversight role over the executive, well, until that argument is heard, well, the president is bound. So what that effectively means is at least 31 of the 60 ministers would have to come from Parliament. But this is the latest list that came through earlier today from the presidency. New ministers as announced, making up the 42 that we have today. Edward Omane-Boamah is not a member of Parliament, is heading to the Defense Ministry, and Samuel Nate George, Ningo Prampram MP, Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation, not surprised. Kofi Adams, in fact, he is one that has generated some conversation as well on social media. He's a Bole Member of Parliament, Ministry of Youth, that's Ministry of Sports and Recreation. Kofi Adams is a lover of boxing. You know, the football people also wanted somebody who loves football. But then again, he's coming in with that knowledge and experience managing the affairs in there. And it's not new to matters of youth and sports, especially that was in the previous architecture of that particular ministry. Well, he's been charged now to take up the sports ministry and get things working there. Beyond him, we have Emmanuel Amakofibua. Until today, he was the deputy majority leader of this NDC caucus in the 9th Parliament. What that effectively means is that that position is also vacant. Well, Zalembele, Member of Parliament, Abdul Rashid Pelpo, Minister, Labour, Jobs and Employment. He is a former Minister for Youth and Sports as well. That is the WA Central Member of Parliament. Kwabena Mintakando is one that many were not surprised. He was the ranking on the Health Committee in the 8th Parliament, quite clear, combative in his ideas and defending what indeed he believes in for the health sector. So he was one that was tipped and that was confirmed today based on the appointment that came through. He's a Joboso Member of Parliament. And then also Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, a former Deputy Trade Minister. Today, he was announced as Minister Designate for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. And he comes through as well with a wealth of experience in there as Tamale Central Member of Parliament. Joseph Nikpe Bukari, heading to the Ministry of Transport. Samuel Okujetua Blakwa is one that many tipped for this as well. Minister Designate for the Foreign Affairs Ministry. He is the chair of the Oral Preparatory Team, that 5-member committee. He is also, he was the ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee in the 8th Parliament, the chair of the Government Assurance Committee in the 8th Parliament as well. Is one that many tipped to actually get this position that was confirmed. Yombo Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, Interior Minister Designate. That's the Aswasi Member of Parliament. And then also Kenneth Gilbert Ajay, heading to the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources as well. So these were the names that were put out earlier today. Now let's look at the composition of this 9th Parliament in terms of the leadership of the NDC, the majority caucus in this 9th Parliament, because with the appointment that have been announced so far today, it directly impacts on the leadership of the NDC in this 9th Parliament. All these 3 leaders of the majority caucus in this 9th Parliament are gone. They have been nominated for various ministries. Dr. Kesla Toforson was confirmed today, approved by Parliament as a Minister for Finance. Emmanuel Amakofibua was announced today as the Minister Designate, as well as Gavin Kwame Agboja, who was also vetted yesterday, heading to the Minister of Roads and Highways. He was the Majority Chief Whip. The Elembele MP was Deputy Majority Leader. They're all gone. So effectively, these 3 positions vacant. What we're hearing is that all things being equal, would have some names coming out before the end of the week. We'll keep an eye on that. And Ahmed Ibrahim, as well, the Banda MP, today was vetted for the Ministry of Chieftaincy, Religious Affairs, and also decentralization. He's very, very passionate about that as well. First Deputy Speaker, that position is also now vacant. So the only woman standing is the Ada MP, the woman you heard earlier, Comfordoyo Kojo. It's a 2nd Deputy Majority Chief Whip. Now, here's what we're hearing. Is going to play out now. With now the Boko Central MP, Mama Yariga, all things being equal, would be announced as the majority leader, replacing Dr. Kesla Toforson. That's all things being equal, barring any last-minute changes. Well, but then, quite apart from that, we also have some information, barring any of last-minute changes and subject to the approval of the NDC as a political party and the caucus. We're also having the Honourable Member of Parliament who is representing specifically the people of the South Dai constituency, Nelson Roxon Dafiamekpo, is a private legal practitioner. He is also, all things being equal, barring any last-minute changes, will be announced as the Majority Chief Whip, replacing Gavin Kwame Agboja. So that's another one for the Volta region. For Emmanuel Amakofibua, we're also hearing that all things being equal, barring any last-minute changes, the Honorable Kweku Rickett Hagan might be the one replacing him as the deputy majority leader. So we'll see how the coming days will look like on this. But this is Ghana Tonight. We're back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us.
This is the reason why I love Ghana.
Then the lottery acquired 20 years. You said Ghana and Nadim Kunim.
We are one. Ghana as one.
We are proud about Ghana. Sabaya 2 years now. Akos Asundem. Ayen Shapa how we are.
Africa and the rest of the world salute Ghana.
Don't forget the lottery acquired sends love. Love to all Ghanaians. The lottery acquired
Step up with DSTV and we'll show up by giving you more incredible entertainment.
Going to have a little fun.
Upgrade your subscription between the 13th of January and the 31st of March.
Vice Special Aide to the President, his appointments to the presidency. And then Stanislav Dogbe also announced earlier today, Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of operations. Stan Dogbe them. And Nana Oye Bampoado, Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of administration. And guess what? We have the former Finance Minister, Seth Emmanuel Tekpe, also announced today as Presidential Advisor on the Economy. Presidential Advisor on the Economy, Seth Tekpe. And also you have Professor Francis Dodo, Presidential Advisor on National Anti-Corruption Program. And this is where the oral comes through clearly. So Professor Francis Dodo is going to be advising the president on this. Larry Bevlo-Latte, Special Envoy to the Alliance of Sahelian States. That's a former National Security Coordinator. And Nana Ya Jantua, who was formerly in charge of the agency that specifically oversees the utilities in this country, and that's the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, a former executive director, presidential staffer now, Nanaya Jantua, formerly also of the CPP. And Beatrice Anamfio, she's a private legal practitioner, presidential staffer now as well, announced earlier today. And Shamima Muslim, she's a media practitioner, deputy presidential spokesperson, also one-time convener of the Alliance for Women in Media, and then also Professor Kweku Dansoboafo, cabinet secretary as well, who announced today. Well, before we go, we got some information coming through earlier as well, and Anthony Akwesi Sapong was announced as the acting Commissioner General for the Ghana Revenue Authority. These are appointments to state agencies. So Anthony Akwesi Sapong, one-time senior auditor at the KPMG, international audit firm, is coming through here as a Commissioner General for the GRA. And then also Dr. Ransford Anete Abe, coming through as acting CEO, Ghana Cocoa Board. So Dr. Randy Abe is affectionately known, former host of Good Morning Ghana, media practitioner, and then also management consultant, is acting CEO, Ghana Cocoa Board. And Jones Bote Apple. This came through just some 2 hours ago. Acting CEO, Gihog Distilleries Company Limited. So these are the 3 appointments announced earlier today to some state agencies as well. So we're waiting for a lot more of it in the coming days. But thank you so much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. We're back again, same time tomorrow for another conversation. My name is Alfred Okansi. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.